Hello everyone and welcome back to more of our F124 Hotlap and setup, guys. Yes, we finally returned, this time out here in Montreal, of course. I took some time away over the weekend just to take a look at obviously all the new handling tweaks that have been made inside F124, and I'm happy to share with you guys that all of our old setups actually still work pretty well. Yes, the way I was kind of setting up the car, the way that suited me inside this game, actually plays really nicely into the new handling models, so we can continue on as normal. We don't really need to adjust or alter any of the old setups, but of course once we've made our way to the end of the season, we might go back through and obviously make some tweaks and changes inside this game as well. But yeah, we return though this weekend to Montreal, of course, obviously the host of an incredible weekend of racing last time out IRL in Formula 1. This place I love. It's fantastic, easy to learn, difficult to master, and trying to get a lap on the limit round here can be absolutely just so satisfying when you get it hooked up. Of course, if these setups are helping you as well, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well. We're trying to hit 10,000 subs on the channel at the moment, and yeah, let's head out then onto the circuit. Well, I forgot to mention then in the intro, but of course, as always, timestamps will be linked down in the description below. But yeah, Montreal really is one of those tracks that looks very, very simple on paper. And like I said, easy to learn, really, really difficult to master. I like to keep the car over on the right-hand side as you prepare yourself for the braking at turn 1. And you're basically going to be looking at this kind of area of concrete down in towards the first corner. If you're in qualifying trim, you might be able to brake just after the 100-meter ball, but race trim, when you're full of fuel, you pretty much want to be getting on the brakes as you go past that entry point there. All the way down into 4th gear, ready for turn 1. This inside curb you can take plenty of, and pretty much as you get over the apex, I'm trying to bring the car down into 3rd gear there. Small blip of throttle as you try and rotate the car into the right-hander all the way down into 2nd, but I would say try to avoid the curb on the inside, but hug as close to it as you possibly can. On the exit, of course, it's uphill, so you've got to be really, really careful of the car trying to over-rotate underneath you, but short shift back into 3rd gear, try and run the car out wide on the exit, but avoid that outside curb on the exit of the corner as well there. Keep the car in the middle of the road. This next corner I find horrible. Basically, you're looking between the 100 and the 50-meter marker. You're braking about 70 meters out. I'll be honest, I really still, even now, I can't find much of a reference point. So I try and get as close on the outside as I can. Down at least 1 gear on the entry. In race trim, you probably want to use 4th. Attack the curb on the entry, and then really try to square off the corner on the exit there. Be prepared to dip a wheel on the grass on the inside there, and then run the car up towards the wall. Just be careful you don't do a Logan Sargent. This next corner really is just setting yourself up for the next heavy braking zone, so you're going to be all the way up in 7th gear there. Of course, you can run the car over the white line, be careful on the grass on the exit, but really keep the car over to the right-hand side. You want to be looking after the 100-meter board, braking just before you get to this little concrete bit on the outside again there, and all the way down into 3rd gear. I find in F124, where you still can really use the curbs here, that I'm actually getting the car quite aggressively over it. And then as you make your way on the exit, up into 4th gear once again. Careful on the throttle, the front end wants to push out on the exit, but it is also very, very easy to pick up some oversteer. Avoid this curbing on the outside though. It is very, very serrated and will really upset the rear of the car as well there. Open up the DRS. Again, you're kind of greeted by this slow arcing bend to the right-hand side. So you can give yourself quite a short run if you get the car over on the inside there, but pretty much as soon as the gantry comes into view, you basically want to straighten up the car. You're aiming for the outside of the corner as you make your way in towards this next braking zone. They're braking just as you go under the gantry. Of course, you're going to be in 8th gear on the way in. Make sure you avoid the wall on the outside there. Qualifying trim, you can leave it in 5th. Race trim, though, I would suggest 4th gear. And again through here, unlike in the last couple of F1 games, you can really actually attack the curbs once again on the exit. Of course, you're lucky inside the game you haven't got the grass on the outside there. But yeah, on the exit of the corner again, be really, really careful. You don't run wide out onto the grass there. Try to get the car back in the centre of the road. Otherwise, you will cost yourself time right the way down in towards the final of the heavy, heavy braking zones on this lap. Back up into 6th and probably 7th gear as you make your way down in towards the hairpin. Get the car back over on the left-hand side. Just after you go past this that concrete bit, you'll notice there just the 100-meter board on the outside. I'll just bring it back into shot. That's where you're going to be braking down into the hairpin. Get the car all the way down to the 3rd gear quite quickly, but I like to use 2nd there, but really downshifting quite late, pretty much as you turn the car in You want to bring it down into second gear there. Hug the apex on the inside, but be careful not to go over it. And then on the exit of the corner there, try to avoid the wheel spin as best as possible. Cycle back into third gear. Use the curbing on the exit, and then up to fourth there. Just the line of least resistance through that weird kind of right-left kink on the exit there. As you make your way out into the back straight, though, open up the DRS, and now you're just mentally preparing yourself for the final corner of the lap. It is so easy to mess up a good lap inside this game if you bottle it down at the final corner. I've done it countless times before. You guys absolutely would as well at some point. I'm sorry, it's just the half truth. Braking out on the 100-meter board on the way in. You want to be all the way down in 5th gear in qualifying or 4th gear in race trim. You can take a lot of curb through here. You can see that absolutely getting all 4 wheels over the curbing on the entry. Can't be so aggressive on the exit. Run the car up to the wall of champions. Open up the DRS again. Once more, be careful you don't get grass on your tyres off the exit of the corner. And as you power back up towards the start-finish line, that is going to be a lap here of the Montreal circuit. As I said, it's one of the easiest, in air quotes, inside the F1 game. But I tell you what, when you get a lap on the limit, it is so satisfying around this place. It does take a lot of practice to really get the laps hooked up. It is really a confidence-based circuit because you've got little bits of elevation. You run the car really low, but obviously you've got to be then super aggressive with it as well. So let's head back to the garage and we'll take a look at the setup. As you can see then, back in the garage, we're about 1.5 seconds away from the ultimate lap records here. But like I said, to be honest, this track, you know, for them, it's just about using the curbs as best as you can. You got to be a little bit lucky with the RNG if you're really trying to fine-tune this place for qualifying trim there. But having a look then at the setup, you can see 37-34 wing. This year, it's a really high downforce track, Montreal. Of course, you've got to try and get the aero over the front end to give yourself the sharp responsiveness through the corners. But of course, with the battery management, with how ridiculously OP the DRS is, you actually, you know, you can get away with running this high wing around here as long as you stay in a train. If you're finding that you're struggling to keep up with other cars, or you're a bit worried that you're going to get disconnected from a group, I would say go as low as like 26-30, but I wouldn't suggest going much slower than that. It'll give you a lot more speed. It might allow you to obviously make moves as well on other cars with just a little bit more ease. 40-45 on the differential. Like I said, where this track is pretty flat for the most part, only 5 meters of elevation change, you can afford to run quite an unlocked differential around this circuit. And as always for me, 30 on the engine braking as well. Of course, that diff as well, when you're trying to get on the power through the chicanes, will really allow kind of the back end to rotate around a bit, which is obviously really useful inside F124. -3.1, -1.7 on the cambers, and then 0.13 and 0.12 on the toe. Again, you know, this track is all about those quick changes of direction with these settings, but you haven't got to worry about, you know, the weight being kind of moving around too much. Obviously, it'll move side to side a bit, but of course, yeah, you pretty much just get the weight on the front or the weight on the rear. You haven't got to deal with camber or anything like that around this track. 31.19 on the front and rear suspension, 12 and 10 on the roll bars, and then 25.65 for the ride height. Of course, again, where this game allows you to attack the curbs so aggressively, you don't actually have to worry too much about the suspension settings. You know, you can make it quite extreme around this circuit as well there. So that's what I found works for me. Would allow you to mount those curbs still through that final chicane, which are probably the only real ones you've got to be scared of around this circuit. 97.54 on the brake bias just always works for me, will hopefully mean down at the hairpin you can actually get a bit of front lock-in, so this should hopefully tune that out. And then 24.4 on the front pressures and 21.2 on the rear pressures there. That'll give you just a good balance that will hopefully allow you to make a one-stop strategy work around this venue. It's medium hard round here. I've often found actually that if you feel like you've got a bit of extra pace but are struggling with the tyre wear, maybe lean more into an aggressive setup and try a two-stop. You can go soft, medium, soft here. Obviously, the pit lane in Montreal doesn't actually cost you that much time, but of course, you know, you've got to be prepared to accept that others are just going to be in DRS trains, so it might be very difficult to get back in that zone as well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and feelings on this setup and on the Montreal circuit. Like I said, I actually love this place as well, and it's one of those circuits that, yeah, corner cutting is going to be really brutal as well. So make sure you're in a rhythm, make sure you're comfortable with the track and the car, and you should be on to a flyer. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and yeah, I will leave you guys with a hot lap. Tomorrow we'll be back in Catalonia.